All right, everyone, we are live, supposedly. Let me make sure that's actually the case on Rumble, as usual. So give me a minute. Be patient. Got a lot of super chats actually already to go through. I'll go through those while I wait for Rumble. Not a banned account. When will American prices go back down to normal? Once Joe Biden is canned. Once he's gone, hopefully things get better. And a follow-up, replacement theory is MSM News lately. Thoughts? They're misrepresenting others' beliefs, mainly. But then again, that's the MSM, the corporate media, so. And another follow-up, will Biden and WEF successfully bring back feudalism? You already have feudalism light. That's the whole problem. We have an interventionist system as opposed to a genuine free market. That's the crux of the economic problems we currently have, including the formula shortage, by the way. And another follow-up, when will governments stop using polygraphs? Well, they're junk science. Even their own inventor has disowned them effectively. They're banned effectively in most of Europe. The United States, for some bizarre reason, continues to cling to the belief that they're actually valid. I don't know exactly why. Hopium Gardener, pray for us in Australia. We just went from awful to even more awful with the election. I fear the outcome over the next few months. Pray for us. Well, I'm not really a praying man, so to speak. I would say get involved in local civics. Kick out the bums from office. Do what the populists are doing in the United States. 87 Sparky, do you know what's going on June 9th? Nope, I have no clue. It'll be June the 9th. Good day. Yes, we are now live on Rumble. Yeah, just passing through over on Rumble. You nailed Spencer the other day. Well done. We will be getting to that. There's a little bit of a recap. Actually, thank you for reminding me. I have to get the debate link here. Don't worry. I'll pop it out in chat. People can follow along. NPR talking about hostility towards Obama. Interestingly enough, started by the Clinton campaign. Where the hell is the link? Just a sec here. I don't want this to actually play. Eating up my bandwidth. Oh my God. I'll pop this into chat here really quickly. If I can actually get to the video. Content live. Saturday show. View on YouTube. YouTube don't make it easy. That's for sure. All right, I've pinned a message for those of you watching on YouTube. That is the link, actually, to the YouTube version of my debate with Richard Spencer. We will be getting into that. Don't worry. It'll be fun. Jacob Connolly, love you, Tarl. I love you too, Jacob. And we've got some people from Twitch piling in here. Will we hear the anchor baby in the background? Well, she's asleep right now. Not an anchor baby, though. I already read that one out. Batman, is it possible that if the Great Reset works and the globalists win, it backfires in some way and screws them over? Yeah, if there's a nuclear war or something like that, they're expecting that they can prevent that from happening, I think. Not a banned account, yet again. Senator Armstrong supports war as a business, but to end war as a business, he needs capital and votes. Can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. You also can't make an omelet without some spring onions, so mail him some. I'm a song, but are you a praying mantis? No, I've never even, seen a praying mantis. Not very common in New England. There's some other variant that has like wings and it looks like a wasp, but it's actually a praying mantis offshoot or something. I've seen pseudo-scorpions. I don't know. Lots of weird shit up there in New England. Anyway, we'll get to some news items here. Went through a few super chats there. First and foremost, I wanted to elucidate one very, very important thing. Right now, the Clinton campaign, which is basically what it is, the Clinton crime syndicate is on the run. They're being hammered because of the Sussman diatribe. Of course, you had Mook making claims against the administration would be with regards to the Clintons actually fronting information that was sent to the FBI. So it's pertinent to a potential criminal investigation. They gave it to Slate and to other media groups. I made a video earlier today, this morning, and said nothing will come of it in the prosecutorial sense. The Clintons are effectively untouchable there. Bill Clinton is a former president. That puts him above the ability of prosecutors to prosecute. Hillary Clinton being his wife, she's also in her mid-70s. Nobody's going to do anything about that. What I would say, though, is that it's clear that they are worried for branding purposes, which may point to a potential Hillary Clinton primary attempt in the upcoming election, assuming that Biden doesn't run. Even if he does, she might actually try to pull the rug out from under him. And that's because you can see the David Brock style neoliberal astroturfing in action. If you look at any of the posts with regards to Hillary Clinton's wrongdoings, you're going to see an awful lot of memetics there. And the slogan is, "She was right." Effectively, the idea of, well, the Durham probe has uncovered this Russia hoax. The Russia hoax bullshit. We know that it's not true. The Steele dossier was not true. The entire system completely flopped as regards to any form of oversight with regards to investigations into the Trump campaign. There never was Russian collusion. It never existed in any meaningful way, shape, or form. This was found by various people, by Mueller and by others. Their summation was that no direct collusion ever happened. The closest that you can get is Paul Manafort, and his wrongdoings, for which he's, I believe, since been cleared, happened long before that campaign. It happened under the Bush administration, actually. Nonetheless, Hillary Clinton and her David Brock allies, the shills and so forth, have been astroturfing the term "she was right" for the idea that Trump actually did collude with Russia. Yes, it actually happened. And my thoughts on this, actually, in my initial video, is that it was very similar to another phenomenon that involved the Clinton campaign many years before, which was against Barack Obama, who edged her, even though technically she had more delegates, she had more popular support. And that was the Kenyan Muslim lie that was effectively injected by Hillary Clinton's campaign. They blamed a couple of mid-level staffers once it was convenient to throw some people under the bus that had no future anyway. And I'm sure they got a big bundle of cash for going along with the lie. I guarantee it came from higher up. Hillary Clinton was involved with it, probably on a personal level, just as she was involved with the Steele dossier and all of these other things. I fondly remember when the Clinton camp tried to blame Jeb Bush for the op research, actually, initially. Why would you blame someone else for the op research if it was completely above board? Would be my question. We're never going to get closure, though. Again, the law is like a spider's web. Fly gets caught, hornet goes free. Hillary Clinton is a hornet, or a wasp, if you will. So is Bill, who looks like his soul has been sucked out of his asshole. The "she was right" line, when you see an account on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, saying she was right in response to criticism of Hillary Clinton, or the Clintons in general, or people associated with them, that is an astroturf. That is a paid campaign. It was absolutely engineered, probably by David Brock's people, although we're not sure. The Clintons were involved in the damage control therein, because the idea is that she does want to run in 2024. I don't think that'll end up happening. I think she'll be kneecapped even by fellow Democrats, but she does want to. She wants that power because she's incorrigible and insane. I think we got some more super chats here, actually. I'm going to try to get through them all. Gary Thomas, hey, Stick, should we be worried about Biden giving the WHO the authority to enact laws and regulations in America and other countries during worldwide medical emergencies? No, because the WHO cannot enact laws in the United States. Only Congress can do so. This actually reminds me a little bit of the gun control attempt by Obama. Obama signing on to an international treaty, I think that was UN related, with regards to firearms. It was pointed out by the government at the time, though, that it didn't actually carry legal weight. It was just an executive sign-on. It's meaningless. It has absolutely nothing to do with our legal system whatsoever. At least at this point, we have not ceded our sovereignty yet to a globalistic force. Let us pray that that never happens. Doc Flamingo, I really want to vote in the upcoming elections, but a brick of 308 is over $90 and I'm desperately short on cash. Well, yeah, I mean, you can vote without having $90. Depending on your country, and some of them, they probably, you have to pay to vote. Not a banned account. Do you support walking nuclear launch platform R&D? I support everyone having nuclear weapons. I think everyone should have one. That way no one will fuck with each other. I'm your daddy. Thoughts on the election in Lebanon and Hezbollah? I don't care about what happens in Lebanon. I literally couldn't care less. Did they elect a Hezbollah member? Who cares? Master Meatball on Twitch pointing something out. But Congress can, with a 2/3 vote, make the WHO treaty law. Yeah, good luck trying to do that. They can't even get 2/3 of Congress to agree to what kind of soup that they're going to have today. The only thing that they can ever agree upon widely is handouts to foreign countries that will come back into their own pockets. That's very unlikely to happen, especially after the midterms. EpicMan004. Do you know about Matt Heimbach? He's another former alt-right white supremacist who now says he likes Sanders. Shills. Horseshoe theory in action. Yeah, it is. I will say this, and I'll get more into the Spencer debate recap in a moment. Link in the pinned comment area if you're watching on YouTube, by the way. Definitely go and take a look. Horseshoe theory is real. That's the reality. Authoritarian systems merge into one another. I would say that the horseshoe skews to the left automatically, because the more authoritarian a system, the more control you need over people's budgets, people's finances, people's industry and commerce. That's inevitable. It leans to the right, actually. The horseshoe should be skewed in one direction over the other. Otherwise, it's generally a good system. Meanwhile, at the bottom, meeting at one particular locus point, is libertarianism in the most puristic fashion, pure anarchism. I don't agree with that either, because I'm a pragmatist. I would say that, yes, horseshoe theory is true. The alt-right is very close to communism, effectively, which is why Richard Spencer effectively sounds like Bernie Sanders, only with a racial intonation now. For those not aware, I debated Richard Spencer the other day and completely crushed him, and it wasn't even close. Not that that was hard. Opinionated Junkie, thoughts on a bill to stop price gouging of gas? There is no price gouging. Think of it this way. You have double-digit inflation at this point, or nearly so. The price of all goods is rising. The price of wheat, the price of corn, the price of fucking radishes, the price of everything is rising. If I have a company and we drill for and we dispense oil or refined fuel of some sort, and the profit margin does not keep up and the price of the goods does not keep up with the inflation pace, what happens? The answer is that I'm losing money, because the purchasing power of the actual income, even if the income is the same, is far less. There has to be increased income. It has to at least pace inflation overall, otherwise I'm losing money. And that's just to break even. Profitability over time should rise for companies. The hope is that efficiency rises, the profitability rises. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing for anyone. It might be bad for the government if they want to rob people of more of their money. What I would say is that I'm much more concerned with what the government is doing with my tax money than what a billionaire or a millionaire is doing with their money that they've actually earned through some productive endeavor, because they're performing a service. Some of these people are corrupt scumfucks. Absolutely. Some of these people are not. They're just making a living. They just happen to have made it more than other people. I don't ridicule them. I don't feel envy. I don't feel like the fact that they've made it more than me and have more money than me is a bad thing. Just like I hope that people that have less money than me don't look at me and say that I'm some sort of enemy because I've made it more than them. That's the easy way to lose against the system. Ultimately, it's the government that's the problem. Bilbo's blog. Have you watched the 2000 Mules yet? What's your thought? No, I still haven't watched it, actually. I think it's a moot, dead point, though, at this point. Because we're several years on. There will be no closure on the election that shall not be named. You're not allowed to question the results of that one. You're allowed to question the results of every other election around the world, by the way, in the same period of time. William White. Is it true monkeypox started in Atlanta? I will be getting to monkeypox. Don't worry. And don't worry about monkeypox, by the way. That would be my long story short summation. Dusty Brown, diaper and stock up funds for you and your family. Thanks for all the wisdom. Yes, thank you for the diaper fund. It is very much appreciated. You wouldn't realize how many they go through. Doc Flamingo, on a more serious note, we need to stop using left and right like they mean anything. It is authoritarian and libertarian. Those are the terms we should always use. Agreed. But most people think in terms of left and right. The left is inevitably more authoritarian because of its desire for monetary control. One cannot be far right and also technically be a full-on authoritarian. One cannot be far left without having authoritarian leanings. It's impossible because you're saying that that great aspect of a person's life that they spend a great deal of time in, which is producing their income, everything monetary, their commerce, their industry, the sweat of their brow, should be more or less controlled by a government entity. If you believe in more control, it is inevitably more authoritarian. That's why really the horseshoe theory, while it holds true in general, should be skewed heavily to both sides. At the bottom, it's going to skew to the right. At the top, it's going to skew to the left. It is inevitable. There is no such thing as a left libertarian. They do not exist. What you're thinking of is libertarians that want more weed and naively think that more welfare will not come out of their pockets. That's really what it boils down to. Doc Holliday, really enjoying the newsletter, and it's much easier to share with my evangelical family and friends than 666. Lol. I believe you mean Substack. Yes, I am on Substack. You should definitely follow me there. We'll get to the second piece of news. I'll talk about, let me check Rumble really quickly, though. Yeah, New York Outlaw 91. Stacey crushed that weirdo Spencer. Yes, I did. I'm not going to mince words here. He got hammered. He got clanked on. The Everyday Witch. I've started working on my first edited piece from the 1590s. It's only 15 pages, but there is only one copy in existence. It's a recount about a man executed for lycanthropy. Thanks for the inspiration. Sounds good. You'll have to link me the work when it's done. When you have an edited copy. That's the sort of thing that I'm into. Anyway, we'll talk about the next piece of news. This is the Saturday show, so I recap the news a bit before I get to Super Chat Q&As, unless there's a bunch of them like right now, and then I try to get to them first. We'll talk about monkeypox. Monkeypox right now, big in the news. It's an exotic disease. It tends to come from West Africa. This particular variant is the West African variant that's managed to spill out into Europe and the United States and Canada, I believe, as well. A couple cases there. It's not the Central African variant, which means it's more mild. I see people circulating an infographic that shows that around this same time there should be some sort of WHO-sponsored military exercise for pandemic response. I have not seen one person corroborate where this actual infographic came from. And if it's real, and that's slightly worrisome, but I'm going to remain skeptical until someone shows me an actual government site or an academic site tied with the government through some sort of study that actually shows that there was some sort of WHO exercise going on with regards to it. Let's talk about monkeypox. Number one, monkeypox is very seldom transmitted from person to person. It can be, but it's fairly seldom. Number two, there's definitely no study showing that this is aerosolized. And so number three, I don't believe that this will become even an epidemic, let alone a pandemic. It's not particularly deadly, although it can kill people. So far, I don't think there have been any deaths. People are treated therapeutically with various degrees of success, symptomatically mostly, with various therapies. What appears to have been the case is that there was a fetish festival and a bunch of people had unprotected gay sex. And one person who happened to have monkeypox managed to transmit it to multiple other people. Of course, anal sex can be a main vector for AIDS. It can be a main vector for herpes, etc. Because not only is there a transference of sexual fluid, but there's blood involved potentially. The membrane of the lower intestine is very, very thin and absorbent, and it can be a problem for these things. That does not mean an epidemic. It doesn't mean it's airborne. It doesn't mean it's a huge problem. It means that a bunch of people went to a festival and they screwed each other, and now a bunch of them got monkeypox. Probably most of them will be fine. You might have a couple of deaths. We have had outbreaks over the last couple of decades multiple times with regards to monkeypox. And the fact that the legacy media is fixating upon this particular outbreak, it's a bit larger than the last one, but not exactly non-contemporary. The fact that they're focusing on it makes me worried more about their attempt to shift the public focus away from things that actually matter. The economy, the housing market, I'm seeing multiple people that I trust, by the way, and you need to know this. You need to fucking take notice. I've gotten tips from multiple people that I trust for economic news that the housing market's about to tank, and I trust them. If that happens right now, we're looking at a depression scenario. You have probably looming stagflation. We're just talking about the US. Look at the German inflation rate that just came out a couple days ago. And then make up your own minds. You don't believe me? Look at the German inflation rate. It's catastrophic. We're looking at a potential stagflationary cycle, which means that joblessness begins to rise due to lack of demand. You've got high inflation. It's not expected to go down by any reasonable economist, including those that are tied with the Biden admin. You've got a soaring crime rate. You've got massive overflow at the U.S. border. And this is happening in other countries too. You have an influx of millions of people from Ukraine. You've got Syrian refugees, et cetera, here in Europe. You've got all these problems. The economy is teetering on the brink of absolute collapse. We're talking worse than the Great Recession. Maybe not as prolonged, but certainly a deeper collapse. The stock market is beginning to hemorrhage money. Crypto has been collapsing. I'm still holding on for dear life myself. I believe that it'll be a situation where if you're holding the right crypto, maybe 5 years from now, you're getting a huge upswing. But everything right now, as far as I can tell economically, especially within the US, and the US being a main economy, there would be contagion to literally every other market in the world, is showing me that at the very least, we're going to have a prolonged economic downturn. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be very painful for a lot of people. There will be more unemployment. The housing bubble will probably pop at some point. You may see the student loan debt bubble pop as well. That sort of double whammy will put us into a deep double dip recession, and that's if we're lucky. I think that the monkeypox horseshit, which these people, if they understood even the most basic epidemiology, they would understand is not a huge threat to the world. The idea that New York just said, oh, people should wear masks to prevent monkeypox is horseshit. It's not an aerosolized virus. It's effectively acting as an STD right now. It's seldom transmitted from human to human. The worst thing is that a human dies with monkeypox off in the woods and gets eaten by rats, and then the rats spread monkeypox everywhere. It's an exotic virus. It's not going to go pandemic mode. When they're trying to focus you on something like that, it's just like stage magic. The hand that is gesturing is not the one that you want to pay attention to if you want to see the magic trick. It's the one that's furtively doing something off to the side while the other one is gesturing. That's what's happening here. And it's moronic that people actually listen to this. They actually believe this. So there's my summation of monkeypox. Don't be afraid of monkeypox. Be afraid of what monkeypox is meant to cover up at the moment. Let's see. Lots more chats. I did that one. Hopium Gardner, I had a far-left socialist tell me that libertarianism originated with socialism and that most academics respected Marx a lot. What the fuck do you say to that? I would say that the American term libertarianism is not similar to the European term. If you mean original old wave European libertarianism, yes, absolutely. It's born out of the left. It's used in an entirely different context within the US and within modern parlance in general. The don't tread on me thing has nothing in common with Karl Marx. Opinionated junkie, anarchists want feudalism. It ends with one state. Agreed. The intern of war. Following some of your advice, picked up an extra shift at 1 a.m. this morning. What do you think of the Illinois races? Illinois feels like it's going to be more purple than it is pure blue. Take care. I think it stays blue, but it's moving in that direction. Mainly because while Chicago is spoken for, the rest of the state tends to be rural. It's a bunch of corn farms and small towns and stuff. All you need is extra turnout. Seors Sticks, I'm trans deity. I wasn't born a god, nor am I equipped to be a god, but I feel I should be a god. So not worshiping me is transphobic. Yeah, someone will make that argument at some point. Valhalla. Why would Africans eat their closest relatives? Yeah. I'm going to pretend like I don't know what you're referring to there, just to be clear. I will say no more. We are live on YouTube after all. IFID. Thanks to Beijing Biden's economics, I can only afford one meal a day and I'm walking everywhere because of gas prices. Thanks, Joe, for helping me. Well, I mean, if you're obese, that sounds like a pretty good deal. The problem is not everyone falls under that umbrella. And what's the meal, too? It's a bunch of lentils and soy. I've got a steak marinating in the fridge, but, you know. Soul Native, how did you quit smoking? I've developed a bad habit of vaping. I know you said vaping is really dumb, which it is, but it tastes good. It's better than smoking, I suppose. You know, you're not getting the tar, at least. You're getting the nicotine, but for the most part, I believe the studies focus on tar and that being the problem. I don't know if nicotine actually is a mutagen at all, but you should, you know, if you're spending money on this, you should just quit that too. Might be hard. Probably easier to wean with vapes because you can micromanage the dosage probably more easily. So many comments. Not a banned account. Standing here, I realize that you're just like me, trying to make history, but who's to judge the right from the wrong? Some people think they're the ones to judge, and I disagree with them all, because I think that I'm the one to judge, of course. Spanha on Twitch. Are you still in the Netherlands? Yes, indeed. We are in Enschede, actually, at the moment. Maiku Huntu. Imagine looking up to Richard Spencer in 2016, becoming alt-right and following him. Now imagine the same person looking at him now. Lol, shan't be me. Yeah, there's been a little bit of a, not a redemption arc, but a non-redemption arc, I think, with regards to that. And that brings us actually to the third thing that I wanted to talk about, which is a recap of my debate the other day with Richard Spencer. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, there will be a pinned link in chat, actually up above. I think it goes away after a while after you join. You can refresh the page if you want to take it. This is the YouTube link. It's also on Odyssey, and I think it's streamed on Cozy, but I don't link Cozy out because I've never even used the site. Anyway, the basic premise was this. Richard Spencer, who has been banned by multiple big tech sites, now thinks that multiple non-big tech sites should be banned. 4chan, which is classed for some reason confusingly as alt tech in some circles. I know there was a hit piece a couple of days ago I analyzed. I can't remember the site, but they called 4chan alt tech. I'm thinking to myself, I think it's about the same age as YouTube and Twitter and all of these sites, 20 years old. It's not alt tech at all. The idea is that these sites don't contribute anything, in Spencer's words. And I pointed out, number one, you know, a site being allowed to exist should not be requisite on contributing something according to some subjective feature. Number two, I think it contributes a lot. I've probably made 1,000 videos across platform at this point, based on news tips that I got from Politically Incorrect on 4chan. And if I'm just dicking off, if I'm not trying to do anything productive, I get a few minutes and I just, you know, want to relax, I can go on B, the random page there, which is overrun with porn and stuff. So not safe for work warning here, and shitpost. You know, I can troll people. I love it when people post threads about me, even when they're highly critical, because I can just go in there, pretend to be someone totally different, and troll people. I find that fun. And anyway, as far as the debate poll went, I think it was about 76% of people thought that I had won the debate, so it was not even close. It was less close than the anomaly debate, and I think that was like, 65-35 or something like that. This was my second favorite debate after the anomaly debate. That one was funny because I got to see anomaly completely spurg and go crazy. Spencer threatened to quit a couple of times, but ultimately he mostly kept it together. I just think that the points that he brought up are wrong. I don't think that banning 4chan is going to make any measurable positive impact in the world. It sets a terrible precedent. And I pointed out, you know, you voted for Biden. You're peddling effectively liberal talking points. You sound like a racist Bernie Sanders at this point. And you're attacking, you know, the internet hate machine, supposedly. I mean, it's not going to go well for you. So that's all I have to say about that. Conundrum 5087. What do you think people, when people say a country like the U.S. can only last roughly around 200 years? Is the U.S. headed towards that doom? What they're referring to is a theory regarding empires. But the U.S. was not an empire until at least the Spanish-American War era, which is 100 years ago. And I argue until after World War II, which is 70 years. If that general thing follows through, the U.S. would be an empire for at least another century. That doesn't mean that it always is the main empire in the world. Things are more interconnected now. There's more room for more empires, arguably. I don't think the U.S. is going anywhere as far as its strength goes. Balkanization, I don't believe will happen. I don't believe there will be another civil war. I think if there were another civil war, the pink-haired freaks would lose on day one, and it would be very, very quick, very, very sweet, and arguably it would be better for the Republic long term because a bunch of treasonous enemies of state would have to be exiled. So who cares, effectively? But no, I don't believe that that'll happen. And if the U.S. truly is an empire, technically at the moment it is, I identify it as 1945 that empire begins. Again, you can make an argument that technically speaking, after it kicks the shit out of the Spanish 100 years ago, the Great White Navy and Theodore Roosevelt, you can make an argument for that, but that would still give us about 100 years. Well, if you get a 200-year span for your empire, well, I guess us and our children and most of our grandchildren will be just fine. Batman, Sticks Anonymous source says Trump is hypnotizing Biden to act demented. You see, it can't be the Democrats' fault. It's evil orange Republicans. Yeah, I know. I would expect that that'll be an MSNBC title at some point. El Rizzle, thoughts on Trump being a big pharma simp, giving them billions of U.S. taxpayer dollars and still cheerleading the vaccine. Vaccine's fine for people who are old or sick and so forth. I pointed this out for more than a year. What I don't believe in is vaccine mandates for other people. In fact, for anyone, really, including the military, although that's technically constitutional. It should not be mandated any more than we mandate the flu vaccine. It's the same thing. It's not necessary. It's meaningless. That being said, the availability of a vaccine, even if it is potentially problematic in an experimental stage, makes sense. And also, it had to be done. Can you imagine if Trump had come out and said, we're not going to do anything about this COVID horseshit, ignore the China virus, he would have been removed from office. He would have been absolutely removed, not just impeached, but actually removed, literally removed by the Senate. And then he would be in jail. He was between a cock and a hard place with the China virus. Very angry citizen. My family thought I was nuts buying MREs, rubber water bladders, gas cans, ammunition, and emergency supplies over 18 months ago. I'm smiling and I told you so now as they scramble to stock up. One thing I would say is MREs are mostly useless unless you expect to combat like a total civil breakdown or something. It would be better to just get a bunch of dried goods from the hippie store. You realize how cheap chickpeas and so forth are at the hippie store? Get some lentils. Democrats want you to eat them anyway, so. Yeah, the baby is over there slightly fussing, by the way, so. Unofficial co-host. Zero Fan Mab, Europe is bankrupt. Please read the financial press every day. You'll understand why banking and international finance is purposely kept out of U.S. mainstream news. Oh, I keep up on European news. Don't worry. I mean, I'm living in the Netherlands, so. Ria's Rabbitry. I'd love to see Sticks debate the Beanie Man on this subject. Yes, I know that Tim Pool is more black-pilled. He believes that a civil war is coming, it appears. I do not happen to share this general belief. I believe that civil war is not only avoidable, but extremely unlikely. What I do see, though, is a prolonged period of suffering for the American people. We went through a Great Depression. It didn't spark a civil war, even though there were riots going on. There were bomb-throwing anarchists and so forth. We went through the Carter era, which is probably more akin to what we're going through now. It was an abysmal era of constant economic letdowns. You had stagflation and all of these other problems, foreign diplomacy issues. We got through it. And then you have Ronald Reagan. So my hope is we get Trump 2024. Some random bloke, left-wing parties just won here in Australia in our federal elections. We are stuffed. Yeah, but you were fucked before anyway, so, it's Australia. You were a prison colony. It's time to flee the prison colony for greener pastures. Not a band account. Which girl is best, Gower Gura or Watson Amelia? I have no clue what that refers to. Video game, movies, creators, I have no clue. Vulciferon Harold of the Winter Mist. I would like to hear a spiritual conversation between you and Ian Crossland from Timcast IRL. Congrats on the baby. Thank you for the congratulations. And yeah, I've been invited openly to Timcast. He's got an open invitation, but I got to be in the US to do that. He doesn't do call-ins, so I can't do it from here. Yeah, CL on YouTube. Wait, you have a baby? Yes, indeed. We have a daughter now. Myself and Elizabeth's philosophy. We have a daughter. Very adorable, by the way. Starting to find her footing as a very fiery Aries. Some random bloke. Did you see Mark Collette versus Richard Spencer debate? Mark smoked him. I wonder, did I smoke him harder or did Mark? He's a pretty good debater. I've seen him before. Baron Von Blair, please don't flush wet wipes. Clank, yes, I know. They are made with plastic components. You are not allowed to flush them. Just roll them up in the diaper and throw them in the trash. They still end up in a landfill, which means eventually they blow out into the ocean. But, gold star for effort. This is how recycling really operates, with exception of glass or aluminum. Mad, musically assured destruction. Would you upload your vids as podcasts? There's plenty of sites that can let you do this. I need to listen to my daily clank as I exercise. I would consider it. It'd just have to be no muss, no fuss, because I already spend an hour doing the upload and tagging and so forth thing. It is a huge chunk of my time each day. It's like having a part-time job, and then I also do literary work. I do like live streaming. I have a full-time job on the internet. By the way, right now, I'm going to check. Actually, there's a chat over on Rumble. How many people are watching there? Over 400? Yeah, we've got, that would be, I think, almost 9 Biden loser units watching right now. Overall, over 2,700 people cross-platform. We have a chat from Rumble Rants over on Rumble. Midwest Gunnar, Bitcoin broke through the 30,000 floor and could fall below 10,000 by year end. Crypto is looking more like a risk asset that moves up and down with stock market instead of a safe haven like gold. Fine by me. I'm still holding on to it. At some point, I might offload it, but right now I have no reason to do so. I have Bitcoin, I have Ethereum, I have Litecoin, I have Cardano, I have Doge. I got a couple of others. There's some internet computer, I think, but that's stuck on Coinbase, and fucking who cares at that point. Your mother was a hamster. Sticks, you are so stunning and brave to not be on paternal leave. One thing that I hate, and this is how I've been for many years, I hate being idle. I like working. I don't like doing nothing. Being in a waiting room is like hell to me. Hell, if I was going to go to hell, like if the Christians were right, it would just be a waiting room forever. And you just have to sit there twiddling your thumbs and pace around and, read a magazine or something over and over again. I hate being idle. I love working. What I'm doing right now is a form of amusement as well as work and income. Westfield 90, COVID measures of masking and lockdowns were implemented without, I can't read the rest of that. But do I think that, I'll rephrase what you said so that it's YouTube friendly. Do I think that the monkeypox response will shadow the COVID response? No. I think a few blue states or nations might tell people to mask up, but it won't last very long because it's effectively acting as an STD. Well, the average person's not screwing anyone who's covered in fucking sores, so. And if they do, then, I hate to say it, but if you're that dumb, maybe you deserve what you get. Mr. Willie 2204, a contribution to my favorite political commentator. Thank you very much. Buy a pack of diapers or some formula. Scarce in some parts of the world. Polyfrog 64, why do you think balkanization isn't a possibility? The divisions in the country are growing, and with all the political violence from the Summer of Love tells me otherwise. Thoughts? I would say the divisions are mostly urban versus rural. They're not state versus state. Big city in Texas is going to be blue. rural area in Illinois, which also contains Chicago, will tend to be red. That's not going to cause state-level balkanization. And anyway, if a state were to try to balkanize, it would get attacked by the other states. Then it would be a unifying factor potentially. It would bring forth a new era of federalism, actually. No, I don't think that balkanization will occur. There's no legal methodology outside of Vermont and Texas by which it can occur anyway. None of the other states have it written into their initial sign-ons that they're capable of balkanizing. Texas and Vermont, of course, were republics initially when they signed on to the United States. Emperor Soft Turtle, is Pennsylvania still counting? Christ, Florida was never this bad. In 2000 they were. I don't really care what happens, though. I mean, if McCormick edges out Dr. Oz, I think it's better. Dr. Oz got the Trump endorsement, is ahead by, what, 1,000 votes or something? So, like 0.1% or less. I wouldn't have voted for Oz. I'm glad he's being embattled. He deserves it. And Trump made a mistake, I think, by endorsing him. I think that that was a bad thing. He should have endorsed Barnett or McCormick. The baby upstairs is extremely upset. I believe she is having her diaper changed. So you might see, you might hear some bleed through, actually. Elizabeth Lombard bought Riddle for All. Still chuckling. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. Yes, Ridicule for All, my newest book. I am working on a couple of other short works now, then a couple of compilations, and then I'll get back to editing alongside trying to re-edit a few of the older works. Like Fruits of Eden, which was initially my major work. I'm going to completely redo that. New illustrations, new entries, a lot more content actually, and a lot more beefy and actual work in a new format. That's what I want to do. Green Top LLC, thanks for the extra content lately. 60 hours into 70-hour week to support my machine shop setup. Hope to be making my own content whenever time slows down. Have a wonderful day, Clankers. Excellent. Don't let time slow down, though. Jeez. Slowing down is stupid. Die with your boots on. That's my motto. Amazon, I'm reminded of the comic Dr. McNinja, where purgatory is a restaurant where you have to eat your sins, but you're left waiting on the waiter. Yeah, that would suck. Waiting sucks. Everyone else is slower than I am. That's my curse in life. RD Doctor, seems like globalization destroyed liberals. Well, let's hope that it continues to destroy them. Let's bring back the Great White Navy era or something. Hell, I'd rather go back to the antebellum era. Have a fucking Tom Sawyer sort of shit. Westfield 90, Pennsylvania results still not in and GOP hasn't called for accountability or transparency. Wouldn't Dems try? This is November, since GOP always stands down. Well, this is a primary race, so this is in party. This has nothing to do with the Democrats. It's a problem. There are no shenanigans as far as I can tell. There's just a really close race. I really do believe that these particular results are fair. I don't care if Dr. Oz wins. He's endorsed by Trump. He's ahead by 1,000 votes ostensibly. McCormick, I would prefer as a candidate. Barnett, I would have preferred over Dr. Oz as well. I don't give a shit if Dr. Oz gets edged by 5 votes or something like that. He probably in the end does get the nomination. Whether he wins in the general is a totally different story. I look at it this way. If you got Dr. Oz as your candidate, basically Mitt Romney 2.0, only even more smarmy, who cares if he wins? If I was in Pennsylvania, I wouldn't bother to vote. Baby sounds rather upset up there. Drennan, it's definitely different hearing a baby crying in the background supposed to a cat. Yeah, they do sound different. There's a more visceral biological response. The kitties sound more like monkeys when they cry. I think they evolved to sound like baby birds, though, actually. Mike McKenna, what advice can you give for an aspiring author? Write a lot of stuff. Keep a notepad by your bed with a pen. And if you have interesting dreams that inspire you at all, the second that you wake up, bolt up out of bed and write it down. Don't worry about what anyone else thinks. You have a spouse or a girlfriend or whatever next to you. Just ignore that and just write it down. Write yourself some notes, bullet pointed. I've done that before. Jaco Slapbass, does Spencer have Stockholm Syndrome? I have no clue. I think he just genuinely dislikes 4chan because he gets memed on there and doesn't understand why that happens. Not a banned account. Which of you gave birth? You or your spouse? The cat did. Just Jess. Sticks, greetings from Berlin, New Hampshire. New Hampshirean. Trying to eradicate some pesky Japanese knotweed. Any tips? Thanks for all your free content. Clank, clank. I have no clue. You'll have to just Google it, I suppose. Or look it up on a better browser, Yandex or Ecosia or something. Bretling on Twitch saying crypto should be inversely correlated with currency, but are correlated now, so right with cash at this point. I'm continuing to hold on. In fact, if it goes much lower, I'm going to buy in more crypto. And this is not financial advice, disclaimer, just for everyone else. I intend to buy in if it goes much lower, specifically Bitcoin. That's the big one. Not a bad. Oh, I already did that one. Never mind. James Cipriano, Clanks from Long Island, New York. Thank you for the early warning back in November of 2019, Sticks. I'm glad that you got your canned goods and your can opener. Yes, I would warn people that some people will overreact to the monkeypox thing, so they might go out and panic buy. I just don't know that there are going to be enough cases for that to actually happen. And the legacy media is trying to have it happen because they want to be able to report on it and make money, and it'll be low-hanging fruit. They like to cause panics. They like it when people die. They like it when people are abducted and tortured. They love terrorist attacks. They extremely love war. That's why they push warmongering 24/7. I just don't know that monkeypox is transmissible enough to really give them what they want. I would be skeptical that that'll happen. Westfield 90. Do you think the incoming recession or depression will be the death knell of wokeness as exemplified by Netflix finally focusing on revenue and profit? That was always something that they were going to do. It's just a corporate branding policy, though. They're doing that to get the non-woke people to use Netflix again because they hemorrhaged users. It's a feint. It's a ruse. I wouldn't use Netflix. I won't use any woke company I'm not interested in. Nike, who gives a shit? Overpriced shoes made by child slaves. McDonald's and stuff. Okay, let me gunk up my intestines and kill my liver in order to have a hamburger. I'm not interested in any of their box store bullshit. About the only box store bullshit that I have to engage in is tech related because I have to make my content. So, you got to have a computer. You got to have a microphone and stuff. Other than that, I'll go to the hippie store. I'll just get my lentils there. I'll get the ones that are non-GMO and aren't sprayed with a million chemicals that probably cause your estrogen levels to rise. I'll be the last man on Earth with testosterone at some point. Zeem the Despot, thoughts on the recent drama with Quantum TV trying to copyright claim other YouTubers for reacting to his videos and making fun of him? I've never heard of them. I oppose false DMCA claims, just to be clear. That includes by Fuentes and everyone else, left, right, and center. I just think it's unhelpful. SJS Shady 0169. How is your garden doing, Sticks? I'm going to be making experimental batch of homemade dolma soon. We have a grapevine here, and the leaves are big enough to do that. Dolma. We've got ivy and stuff. There's not much of a garden here because there's not enough room really for crops. We are working on potentially ameliorating that in the future with a move to a place that has a bigger yard. And of course, I do have property in the US. So my idea is go back and forth between two continents, juggle things, and have two gardens. That way, wherever you are, you've always got plants and you can harvest, you can pickle, you can can, you can do all sorts of great stuff. Imagine how fucking great that'll be to have so many plants. One garden is not enough. I'm too ambitious for this. Major Rock 06. I have your username on Truth Social if you want it. Got it to hold for you. DM me on Twitter. However, I am not currently in the US or Canada, so I can't access the site. So if you want to just continue holding it, yeah, just don't pretend to be me, preferably. Yeah, just hold it for me until I'm back in the US, because I don't know exactly when that'll happen. I don't know why they decided to limit the audience to only the US and Canada. It makes no sense for me. It's just like when they limited their initial launch to Apple. They didn't have a desktop or Google experience. I'm like, what the hell are you doing here, dude? But yeah, if you could hold on to that for the immediate future, it'd be appreciated. I did register, like I used my email and registered the actual username. Apparently it just lapses at some point. So Another little oversight by the Truth Social people. Westfield 90, do you see yourself moving back to the US anytime? I see myself splitting time between 2 continents in order to have 2 gardens. You know, you're raising a daughter, they get the best of both worlds. They get to see the US eat the hot dogs. They get to see the Netherlands eat the bitterballen. What the hell isn't to love about that? Zach the Celtic Sky, Netflix just sucks. I watch Amazon Prime mainly nowadays, mainly for my daily dose of Judge Judy's new show, Judy Justice, which is absolutely amazing. Oh, Jesus. My parents watch Judge Judy constantly. My grandpa used to watch Judge Judy. How many years has she been on? 20 or something? She's one of the richest women in the world, I think, worth many tens of millions of dollars. We've got a Rumble rant by Chris Rumble, $100, so thank you. Thanks for using Rumble. Really appreciate it. If there are any feature requests, we are always listening. Yeah, the only request that I would make, and this is actually a fairly big one because, you know, you do live streaming. You need to tweak the live stream so that when you drag up through the chat, because sometimes you have multiple windows open or something. Right now, if you don't have it at the very bottom, if you're up even a little bit, the second that a new chat comes through, it drags it down automatically to the bottom. It takes it to the bottom of the chat area. That's a real problem when you're trying to read out a super chat like the one that you just sent. Other than that, no, Rumble is pretty great. It's doing just fine. I don't have any complaints about it. But that's a fairly big one because when you have, how many people are watching right now? Yeah, there's almost 450 people watching. When you've got that many people on a chat area, typically the chat goes reasonably fast. I can't read the chat if it's long, necessarily quick enough before it goes down to the bottom. I have to drag it back up over and over again. That's been a problem with the chat before. Midwest Gunnar actually opining. I'll refer this to you as well. Also, Rumble, please develop a playlist feature that allows videos to play one after the other. Oh, Chris Rumble just sent another chat, actually. Noted, iOS app fix that. Coming soon to web. Okay, well, once that's fixed, it's basically perfect. So, yeah, no complaints. I'm doing just fine. Thank you for the money, by the way. I'll buy many, many diapers. I'll make a pyramid out of them. Maybe I'll take a picture of like a big-ass pyramid of diapers at some point. You have no idea. Or the energy drinks that I have to constantly spike myself with to stay awake. Now, I got reasonable sleep last night. I have no real complaints. I did sleep on the couch because, you know, the baby's got the crib there. It's reasonably comfy. The only problem is on the couch because it's more narrow because, you know, I'm 6'2" and shit. I have to hold my arm in at a weird angle and it made my elbow hurt for a while. I got reasonable sleep, though. It was all right. Zach the Celtic Sky. Oh, no, I already did your chat. You don't get a free twofer. Not a banned account. Will the U.S. government confiscate gold again? No, because it'd be a losing endeavor to try. From my cold, dead hands. They're more likely to try to confiscate lead. That won't go over well either. Wink, wink. Plucked Pickles. Hey, Sticks, it's been a while. Get some caffeine. How do you feel U.S. foreign policy should adapt with recent events? I think we should hardline other countries economically and leave them alone in the military sense as much as possible. Ironically, it's cheaper to throw money at the problem than throw troops and guns at it. Generally, unless you're, selling the guns to someone. I don't have any problem with selling the Ukrainian Stinger missiles. I definitely have a problem with sending them $40 billion for nothing. Knoll Watcher 63 over on Rumble. Rumble needs a memory. If I lose my connection, I can't go back to where I was in the video. Oh, I've never had that problem, so I wouldn't know. I guess that could be a problem, yeah. But if you know just roughly about where you were, I mean, it wouldn't be a huge problem, right? That probably requires some sort of tracking cookie anyway. Maybe they're trying to avoid that. Yeah, Ron Rutan on YouTube. You ain't coming back here, dude. Sure I am. I've got residency here, and I'm a citizen of the U.S. I got guns back home. I've got crops to grow and shit. A bunch of chamomile and stuff. Don't worry about my life. I see a lot of people that try to speak for me actually online sometimes, saying that they know about my plans for the future and whatnot. And I'm like, you've desperately fallen into the soap opera rabbit hole. It's like a fucking general hospital at some point. Yeah, literally shaking. Perhaps you have sleep apnea. I've just got checked and turns out I have it. Spent my entire life in the constant state of exhaustion without realizing it was a problem. I'm not exhausted. That's the whole point. I actually have fairly high energy levels and don't need a huge amount of sleep. I just like a lot of sleep. When you get all cozy in bed and you're warm like a muffin and stuff, you don't want to get out of bed. But I can. I can wake up several times throughout the night to change a diaper and give a bottle. And it hasn't been a problem. I've been doing it for the last week, actually. Nobody seems to notice that I look tired, unless I mention it. Reminding me, I've got my Dutch-made caffeine right here. This is the best kind of energy drink ever made. The 9 sugar-free energy drink. And it's got aspartame in it, so I can get cancer for free. Probably happen. Anyway, I think I'll go off now because we're heading in on 1 hour. I covered the news topics. Recap for people who didn't see. By the way, there is a pinned comment if you're watching on YouTube in the chat. Definitely go check out the debate I had with Spencer. For first recap, the she was right astroturfing. Right now, Hillary Clinton is really worried, and her people are worried about the Sussman and Durham probe sort of thing. And so they have got a new brand, a new slogan. She was right to describe people who are defending her against the indefensible. When you see someone echoing that, they are of two types. They are either, well, maybe a bot. They're either a lemming who gobbled up the lie, or there's someone purposely spreading the lie. Hillary Clinton is a corrupt asshole. They lied openly and knowingly about the Russian collusion thing. They sent it to the FBI and contemporarily sent it to Slate and to the legacy media for a reason. It was a political hit job. They've been exposed in this. There are still people trying to defend Hillary Clinton because to do otherwise makes Trump look good. And it's not about even defending her. For some of these people, it's about making Trump look bad. Number 2, don't worry about monkeypox. Monkeypox is not going to become an epidemic. What it is a bunch of people had anal sex. And they spread their fluids around, and one of them or more of them had monkeypox because they went to apparently Nigeria, actually, which is why it's the milder, non-Central African version. And so far as I know, nobody's died in the Western Hemisphere as the result of this. It's not a highly transmissible disease unless it's animal to human anyway. Just don't have intercourse with people that are covered in fucking sores. That's all you have to do. And then a recap of my debate with Spencer. He wanted to shut down 4chan, and I shoved his shit in. Long story short, it's basically the sum and substance of it. Major Rock 06, no problem holding your username and have posted that I am not you. Just holding. Just to let you and everyone know I am not asking for anything. Yeah, thank you for that. A true clanker and a gentleman, of course. Yeah, but send me a DM on Twitter if you have an account there, and we'll figure that out once they open it up to people outside the U.S. or when I'm back in the U.S. I would like to requisition it because Truth Social definitely has taken off more. I'd like to use it, but my God, if they don't open it up to people overseas, I don't know what I'd be doing there because I'll be spending much of my time here too. So I guess I can only post every other month or something. Amasong, I see your General Hospital and raise you dark shadows. Westfield 90, please no more super chats. I've got to go off in a minute. What is it about all Western nations allowing woke leftists to destroy their culture and institutions? Is it boredom or a selfie generation? It's corrupt boomers. They just want money and power. If you allow wokeism to cripple your nation's society, it's easier to control people. And way easier to be materialistic. All you have to do is say, hey, if you're not woke, then you can choke. And then you sell them shoes that were made by child slaves. Normally, the leftoids would bitch about this, but you've put the rainbow flag on it, so they don't dare to bitch. And so they buy them anyway, just to keep up with the Joneses like the yuppie sellouts they are. Yes, the left is becoming yuppies. It's like a Modern Love by David Bowie, only not cool. Jonah Jameson, sometimes sleep apnea can cause the body to cause you to feel awake most of the time due to a constant stream of adrenaline. Yeah, no, I don't have sleep apnea. I do have insomnia to an extent, significant one, but I make do. And I love caffeine. I always have. Yeah, it's tasty. What more can I say? Anyway, I'm going to go off now because we're headed in on 1 hour. So for all of the people that watched, I am glad that you enjoyed. Reminder that I will be live again tomorrow on Sunday with the normal Sunday. That's more Q&A geared than the Saturday stream. I had to do some news updates because there were some things of import, especially the monkeypox, because a lot of people are going crazy over it. So yeah, that's about all.